Hello, everybody. This is Capitalist from JoinDota.com. Joining me this time is going to be PPD, the captain of Evil Geniuses. Man, you just got wrapped up with DreamHack. You want to talk about your thoughts on just day one and obviously how it didn't go so well?
Well, we're not really much of a day one team, you know, in previous tournaments, but it was unfortunate, but I think we're all okay, and it was a good learning experience, and at least we'll be over our jet lag for the next tournament.
Yeah, I think Arteezy was saying you guys really aren't a day one team. You're also like, you don't really prefer format. You prefer group stage formats for any sort of LAN event. Is there a specific reason why that is?
We just need a couple of release games to just feed a bit, let it all go, and when you go straight into the elimination rounds, it can be tough.
Yeah, so it's basically one of those like first game of the day sort of deals.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, that being said, the teams that we played against played really well, and you know they definitely played better than we did, so they deserve to move on.
So we had a really long interview with Arteezy. We'll try and keep it a little bit shorter for you. I want to talk about, first of all, the summit. Thoughts on DK?
You know, DK's been a bit shaky in China, which is kind of scary, to be honest. Like when I played against DK at Starladder, I was like, holy crap, these guys are the best. They are so good. Because when I played against them, I felt useless. I didn't know what to do. I was like, maybe we're just not good enough. And so beating them at the summit was really inspiring. You know, it gives me high hopes for TI4 mainly. And I think the same thing can be said though is like, because when we play against Liquid, like Liquid's not that great of a team, but when we play against them, they play really well, and our games are always close. So it's kind of like you play against people you know really well, generally pretty well. So I think the Chinese teams play better against each other, and that's what DK was saying as well when we talked to them at the LAN. They said they were more afraid of the Chinese teams just because, you know, they played against them all the time and they were used to it. So
knowing that you probably play better against the teams that you scrim against quite frequently, is the Chinese team the biggest fear for you going into ESL as well as TI4? And Arteezy was saying really it was newbie for him. That was the scariest team just because you guys have yet to face them at all.
Yeah, we haven't played newbie yet. They've been putting up really good results. I mean, IG's been putting really good results up too. I wasn't too impressed with them at Starladder, but it seems like maybe they got it together. We'll see this. We'll see IG at ESL. I don't think Vici is one of the best. I don't think they're one of the best Chinese teams yet. That being said, they're still definitely, you know, they can definitely win and take games off anyone. Like, we lost the Summit game. I got totally outdrafted, and it was just a disaster. But newbie, we don't get to play them until TI, so maybe we'll get some scrims in with them beforehand. But I think all the Chinese teams are going to be pretty similar in terms of like skill level. A couple teams have different like strategies and play styles, but we've had enough games against DK. Like, we practiced against them before the summit as well, and they're a team that plays everything. So playing against them kind of prepares us for anything the Chinese are going to throw at us, hopefully.
So talking about Arteezy's going to give you a little bit of. You can join this side, man. So talking about going into. You just totally made me lose my train of thought. I was like, I'll ask this question. That's right, drafting. I want to talk to you about, first of all, making one of the quotes I had from one of the pro players. I can't remember who it was, but back in the day when you first joined EG, it was EG now going to be a scary team because they have a captain who wants to actually be a captain and be that drafter. Talk about that transition going from Han into Dota 2 and be stepping up to the plate, basically, and taking over in that captain role.
Well, when I switched over from Han to Dota 2, my biggest problem with the current Dota scene, especially the NA scene, is there was no do shit players. Everyone was so complacent with being mediocre, and that was something I really was not okay with. Because if you're gonna put your time into something and be that passionate about Dota, then you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste your teammates' time. So when I switched to Dota, I wasn't never really. I kind of led in game at Han, but I was never like the captain. I never did the drafts. But when I switched to Dota, I took it upon myself to be much more in command and in control of my own fate, basically. So being a captain is just, it motivates me to perform to the best of my abilities.
So what about drafting? I think you guys are one of the teams that have really been leading the meta just all throughout. I mean, even going into past patches, I think you guys have really been one of the Western teams really leading it. How do you really come up with these ideas in the draft? You guys just experiment with heroes and go, oh, this hero is actually extremely strong that's just being underutilized? Or how do you actually get those ideas?
Well, I think one of the great things about our team is how active we are in playing. especially like myself, Universe, and Arteezy put in like 10 to 15 games a day, which I don't think any team does that much. Zion Mason don't play as much. They're a little bit busier. But overall as a team, I think we play more than anyone. So if we think we find a hero that's good, we'll just go play it in pubs, play it over and over. We'll be like, okay, this is good. And then someone will say that, and I'll be like, all right, I'll try to work it into a draft. We'll try it in a scrim. And if it goes decently well, we just do it in a match. And we have good enough players to make some unconventional heroes work. That being said, some of the heroes that we tried maybe not be as good as we make them look. And yeah.
Okay, so what about talking about the meta in general? I've asked a couple different pro players so far. Loda pointed out that this was all about the sort of like tri-tank meta, like the Brewmaster and Doom with the big team fight ultimates. Arteezy earlier was talking about how Roshan just runs the meta. What is your thoughts on the meta? What are the most key important things about this patch?
Oh man, what a question. Brewmaster has been being played a lot. We weren't really a team that thought too much of him, but I think we might need to take a second look. He's having a ton of success at this tournament, and then for like the Tricore, like the tanky meta, I think it's good. I think Doom is probably like a top 3 hero right now. Right. He farms way too fast, especially if you get a Midas on top of Devour. You're guaranteed to be a huge factor late game on top of an ultimate that completely decimates one hero. I think you can work in some Tricore like strength lineups, but I don't think they're reign supreme over other lineups. You just have to do your lanes well and make it to like the late game where the strength heroes fall off and the agi heroes take over.
Which is something we've seen Fnatic been doing very well, at least, well, not so much in DreamHack, but in the past. That's something they, especially I talked to Excalibur, he said it was Tinker was the best way to deal with that, just because like trying to stretch those games out as much as possible. So going into maybe underutilized hero, I know you probably don't want to give away any sort of secret here that you're talking about, but is there a hero out there that you felt is maybe really strong, but just you can't quite find the perfect spot for him? For example, Loda, he said Omni Knight. He was just like, I just don't really know how to make that hero work, but theoretically, he should be extremely strong going into the mid to late game.
Yeah, that hero's been theoretically strong all of Dota. Nobody plays it, and it's for a good reason. He doesn't lane very well, and it can be tough to make useful. Some other heroes, I think C9 is experimenting a lot with Jakiro. I think he's really good. Liquid Fire buff, a couple patches ago, is really strong. Meepo as well. I said that Meepo was going to get played at TI. It's getting played here at Dream League, so I think they should have saved it for TI. But
yeah, I mean, it certainly has been like kind of the surprise pick for them. What about you guys? Have you guys been maybe experimenting with the Meepo a little bit? And what do you think the best way is to deal with the Meepo? If you think he's going to be such a threat for TI, do you have some ideas on how to counter him if it comes into his surprise like 4th or 5th pick, where you're not really expecting it, all of a sudden Meepo comes out? How do you deal with that?
Well, Meepo is a really strong hero. The best thing about him is he farms really quickly, has high mobility, and he can.
Hey, he's a busy man. He's a busy man. Yeah. What's going on, James?
It's Dota admins. They're really busy and important. I don't know.
Wait, come back in. Let's go.
No.
It's going to be a group interview.
Fuck the show.
But yeah, we did try Meepo. Arteezy tried to play Meepo. He wasn't good enough, so we shelved it. But we may need to revisit it. And but the big thing about Meepo is that he gets really over-leveled. So if you die once or twice, you share all that experience with your opponents, and at the same time, your teammates are under-leveled because you're absorbing all the experience as Meepo. So if you die a couple times, your enemies are going to have a giant experience lead over the rest of your heroes, and if Meepo can't 1v5, then he's going to be he's going to hold your team back.
Yeah. Okay, so I know I promised you short interview, so we'll wrap it up here. This is something that I've been doing with all the teams. It's a stupid fun way to enter the interview. Marry, fuck, kill, and kick your 4 teammates.
I mean, that's...
Oh, I'll leave you an easy one. Arteezy said he would kill you and take over the drafting spot so he can pick up Medusa.
Medusa's pretty good.
Okay. So what would you do? What would you do? You don't have to. You don't have to if you really don't want to. You wouldn't kill Arteezy. He said he would kill you, man. You wouldn't kill Arteezy?
All right, marry Zai. He's a good friend.
Okay. I mean, Zai has kind of been like that. That he seems to me like the calmest force on the team. He's just like, you know, he does what he wants. He's always just seems to agree with. Just seems very very agreeable character in general.
He's a nice guy. Kick, probably Mason.
Yeah.
Arteezy
said something similar. It's fuck Mason.
And what was the other one?
So you haven't kill.
I've killed.
And kill and fuck. So the two really gruesome ones, and it's Universe or Arteezy. So
let's go with kill Arteezy, and then I'm not.
It's okay. No. It's okay. You don't have to say it. But the last option was fuck and Universe. Put the 2 and 2 together. But no, man. No. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking the time to have this interview with me, man. And guys, more interviews coming up on joindota.com. Last shout outs, actually. I forgot shout outs. Do you want to give anything?
You should definitely wash your hand after this. I'm incredibly sick. Shout out to Asus ROG for a pretty good tournament. You know, even though I'm not playing, it's pretty fun to observe, and GD Studio guys are doing a good job. And shout out to my sponsors, Monster, Kingston HyperX, Razer, BenQ, and Sony Online Entertainment.
Hey, you're better at Arteezy being able to list those off, so well done, man. Well done. All right, thanks again, guys. More interviews coming up. Join Dota.